what I thought I'd do is start off with, I guess, a little Q&A. I've been reading through pretty much all of the Facebook posts in the Transformation Mastery group, and I have to say this is my favorite Facebook group of all time. Such good vibes, and I personally want to thank you all for sharing your experiences, commenting on others' experiences, helping each other out. This level of support there is in that group is absolutely insane. It's the first thing I read in the morning after my guided release, and it's just amazing to see. And it's amazing to see so many people responsive to this content, to this program. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and let's keep building that group up. There's really nothing that I've seen out there in terms of Facebook groups, even digital product groups like the one we have here. So what I thought I'd do in the beginning is answer some of your questions live right now. I'll kind of look through the chat, so just post your question in the chat box here, and if there's some themes that kind of pop out, I'll address them. And then we'll talk a little bit about social anxiety, as I want to base the live release around that topic, as it's something that pretty much everyone has, in terms of this stuff that you've suppressed or repressed in your subconscious. A lot of that is unique to you, but there are some common things, and social anxiety is one. A lot of us are extremely afraid, extremely traumatized when it comes to putting ourselves out there socially, and I thought we could talk about that, and then do a live release, everyone here together as an online group, kind of customized on that theme and customized on your questions if you have any questions linked to that particular theme. So take advantage of the chat box. I'll read through it now, and let's do this. So the ultimate goal is to follow inspiration and not happiness. Yes, the goal is not to always be happy, always be positive, always feel good. That is not the goal. The goal is authenticity. And this is something that I actually just talked about in month 1, which is apathy and self-hate. I literally just recorded the content video for month 1. So if you're part of, the tiers that have access to month 1, keep an eye out for that video in the next 2 days. But basically, how apathy happens is, as a kid, we're all conditioned to label different emotions, either as good and acceptable or bad is unacceptable. So there's a general list where, feeling anxious, that's bad. Being angry, that's bad. Being negative, that's bad. Being stressed, that's bad. Being scared, that's bad. We have this whole list of bad emotions. And this is when we start, trying to disown those emotions, trying to resist them, and we embark on our lifelong journey of, I must always feel good. I must always feel happy and be positive 100% of the time. And this is most people. You're extremely attached to feeling good, to feeling only the good and acceptable emotions, and you're extremely resistant to the bad ones. Okay, and this is ultimately what causes us to suffer quite a lot, because as you know, in the world that we live in, this world of duality, nothing is permanent. You go from one pole to the other, you go from happy to not happy, positive to negative, and you're just swung back and forth. And unfortunately, this is most people. They're happy, and then they get swung to the bad side, back to the good side, back to the bad side. And with apathy, what happens is that after a while, you're like, fuck this. I'm sick and tired of being tortured and just swung back and forth. I hate this. I'm just going to, just say fuck it and give up. I'm going to give up on feeling good. They kind of stop that chase that most people are on. However, they don't give up on feeling good by letting go of that attachment to feeling good and letting go of resisting feeling bad. They just start resisting feeling good as well. That's apathy. It's when you resist the bad emotions and you resist the good emotions. And your rationale is, well, maybe I won't feel happy, maybe I won't be positive, but at least I won't not be happy and I won't be negative. But that's not the solution. The solution is not to resist all emotions. The solution is to let go of that resistance to the bad ones and let go of that need to always feel good. It's not the thing, it's not the emotion, it's the place it's coming from. And the goal here is to embrace it all. And that's what you'll notice is that when you embrace it all, there really is no such thing as a bad emotion. And your experience of those bad, unacceptable emotions will change because there's no longer that resistance. If that makes sense. So it's like basically the whole process is not about feeling good. It's about letting go of the need to feel good. It's letting go of those labels and letting go of that resistance to feeling bad. And trust me, your experience of those bad emotions will change. It's as if someone, just imagine this. Someone comes up to you and say right now you hate feeling negative. You hate feeling bad. And they come up to you and like, hey, imagine your entire life, if someone told you, hey, feeling bad is awesome. Feeling bad's the shit. Feeling negative is fucking awesome. And you've been conditioned that way. When you feel bad and negative, you're not going to suffer. You'll actually enjoy it because you think that's the goal. You won't be resisting it. So that's the journey here. Not to feel good, but to let go of the need to feel good and let go of that resistance to feeling bad. Basically, when you find that you're identifying with a certain person or character, you have this certain identity, how do you let go of it? So for that, I'll just take me as an example to illustrate this. What I found out is I was extremely identified and attached to being the destructive artist. That was an identity that I became extremely attached to that was just deep in my subconscious. I wasn't even consciously aware of it. And this would, cause me to self-sabotage quite a lot, especially when it came to getting back in shape, weight loss, being healthy again, because if you're too healthy, you're no longer self-destructive on the healthy side. In terms of success, if you actually really make it, you're no longer the self-destructive artist. Even in terms of relationships, if things are too nice, if things are too perfect, if things are too peaceful, you're no longer the self-destructive artist. So the first thing to do is to realize this, and to realize it, just kind of look at the different patterns in your life, what you keep being pulled back to. You can think back to your childhood. It's like, this helps all the time. What kind of characters or celebrities or musicians or idols do you have? Who do you aspire to be, and what do they have in common? What's the favorite, your favorite type of music? What are your favorite type of movies? For me, I always really resonated with, once again, the destructive artist type of music. The destructive artist / kind of the bad guy in the movies. Because it was the guy who would self-destruct. Not the bad guys who were just bad, but like the bad guys where even at the end they would change to good, but it was too late at that point. I was identified with that, subconsciously. That was the type of movies I'd like. When you get like the creepy, even like James Bond bad guys. Or for me, it was like even as a kid, the bad guy in that movie, George of the Jungle. I was like, whoa, that guy's really cool. So bring awareness to that. Look at the different patterns. Look at what you resonate with. And once you identify it, it's about letting go of that attachment to it and then letting go of the resistance to the opposite. And to do so, you can always kind of look at the payoff and the fear. What's the payoff you get from being that character or from taking on that identity? And what do you fear when it comes to losing that identity? What if suddenly you're no longer the self-destructive artist? What kicks in? And then it's letting go of those sensations. What happens if you're no longer the self-destructive artist? What happens if you no longer get the payoff you're getting by being the self-destructive artist? And for me, it really came down to a sense of importance. I thought I would stand out because in my mind, I was like, no one really resonates with the self-destructive artist. Every normal person wants to be good, wants to be the good guy, wants to succeed. For me, I'll find my sense of importance by not fully succeeding. And it was never not fully succeeding because of other circumstances. I wanted it to be so I could fully succeed if I wanted to, but then I would choose not to kind of break the pattern, to separate myself. So there was a certain sense of importance there. And then you can dive into that. Okay, well, what if you don't stand out? What if you aren't all that important? What if you aren't exceptional? What if you are just like everybody else? What comes up? And breathe into that. Does nihilism help with the transformation mindset of letting go? You have to reach that point where you are, in a way, nihilistic, where you realize you have to reach that point where there's no point to anything. And then there's two ways you can go. It's either, okay, there's no point to anything, fuck it. And that's not the goal. Or there's no point to anything, and then allow something to kick in. You let go of, again, all attachment, all resistance. I mean, it's that old school attachments and aversions. Let go of all attachments and aversions and see what happens. And that's when inspiration kicks in. When there's no longer resistance and there's no longer need or craving. But you have to reach that point. And we think that when we reach that point, there's no meaning to anything, fuck it all. But in reality, that's when authenticity kicks in. And you can view it two ways. I mean, one way could be, there's no meaning to anything. Fuck, what's the point? Or there's no meaning to anything, and that just gives you so much freedom because now you have the freedom to create your own meaning. There's not... Realizing there are no rules, there's nothing you need to do, can be extremely scary, but at the same time, now you're free. Now you're free to authentically be and do you. There are no rules. We're so afraid of doing wrong, we're so afraid of fucking up, but you can't fuck up. Who says what's the right way or the wrong way? So it can be scary or freeing. Again, you reach that point of there's no point to anything, you're one step away from enlightenment and one step away from, despair. When doing subconscious release, I kind of have to force the sensations to come up. Don't force it, okay? And this is big. I've been seeing this a lot in the Facebook group too. When doing a release, people want to cry, or they want to feel intense sensations, or they want to feel certain sensations they think they should be feeling. If you're replaying, for example, here, childhood scenarios, you kind of have an expectation of what those sensations associated to those child experiences or the scenario here would feel like. But that blocks you from feeling what is authentically there. Okay, the goal is not to feel what you think you should be feeling. You never get what you want. The goal is not to feel good. The goal is not to feel bad. The goal is not to necessarily feel intense sensations. The goal is not necessarily to cry. The goal is to feel whatever's actually there. And when doing a release, if you have expectations, what will happen is you'll be so focused on trying to tune into those particular sensations, what you think should be there, that you will ignore what is actually there. You're going to block it off out of your awareness. So this usually takes some time and practice, but ideally, when going into it, have zero expectations and let yourself be surprised by what is there. The goal is to authentically feel what is there. Sometimes it's intense, sometimes it's not. Maybe for a long time, it'll just be subtle sensations. But that's fine because the goal is that. The goal is authenticity. Building on this, I've not been able to cry during releases. Is this bad? No. Remember, you can't do this the wrong way. And catch yourself here, as a little side note, this is a sign of something else, you should probably dive into, the need to always do it right. Did I do it right? Did I do it right? Did I do the release correctly? Did I live up to that condition? Maybe then I will feel complete. It's not about doing it right. You can't do it wrong. You're being authentic. There's no way to do it wrong. Let that sink in. There is no way to do it wrong. The only way you will do it wrong is if you have an expectation of what doing it right looks like. I'm a self-help junkie that doesn't execute. What is wrong with me? That has to do with procrastination. So I'll put it this way. Someone who's usually an extreme self-help junkie workaholic is the person who is extremely attached to always improving or always working, and is extremely resistant to not improving, not working. So for that person, it's about letting go of that resistance to not improving yourself and not working. What happens if you stop doing self-help? What happens if you stop working? Let go of that. Now on the flip side though, and this can happen even with someone who's a workaholic self-help junkie, is they'll let go of that resistance to not improving and not working, and they'll reach that point where it's good either way. And then, instead of acting out of desperation, true inspiration will kick in. However, When inspiration kicks in, they then resist taking action on that inspiration. So it's letting go of that resistance to not taking action, but then also letting go of the resistance to taking action. Why is the resistance to the subconscious so hard to overcome? Because the stuff that's usually... It's so hard to overcome because if it's, for example, a core belief, one of those assumptions you made early on in your childhood, because, that's what happens. You come into this world, you need to quickly get your bearings on life, and you're going to form a lot of assumptions. So you may look, there's a common one, at your parents, at their relationship, and that'll become your definition of a relationship or your definition of love. So say you grow up in a household where one of the parents isn't available. Say your parents get divorced when you're young and you grow up with one parent. Your definition of a relationship and love will be abandonment. You'll interpret it that way as a kid, and that'll go in your subconscious, and basically from there you're going to act from that assumption and you're going to build beliefs on that assumption. So of course there's going to be a lot of resistance to letting go of that because you're so invested in it, and if that core foundational belief is wrong, what does that say about all the other beliefs that depend on it? It's like that belief, love equals abandonment, is the foundation. And then there's so much, that builds on it. It's like if that's gone, everything crumbles. And you'll lose, if that's wrong, then what else is wrong? You'll lose your bearings. It's so scary. So there's a lot of resistance there, and that's in your subconscious. And otherwise, when there's different traumatic things that you suppress or repress in your subconscious, it's so scary because when you dive into that, you're going to feel that same life or death type of resistance. Remember, you disown something. You shoved it down there for a reason. If you're a kid and you're loud and your parents say, hey, don't speak up, don't be loud, and you felt, again, that trauma, it's like, oh man, I'm going to be abandoned. They're not going to love me if I'm loud. Disown it. You now diving into it, you're going to have that same resistance like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die if I let this come up. Consciously, rationally, of course it doesn't make sense. But it's still there. So that's why it's so scary, and that's why, to protect yourself, there's all these layers of resistance so you don't dive into that, because there's ultimately that fear of death, like you're not going to survive. How do I stop internet addiction? Honestly, it's the same way you stop most or any addictions. What is at the cause of the addiction? An internet addiction is one of, many ways of escapism. It's one of the ways that you escape yourself. So bring awareness to it. That's the first one. Most of us aren't aware of when we escape ourselves. So now, you're aware of it. And then when you feel the need to quickly jump online, don't. And dive into what comes up. Dive into what you're running away from. And this can be a little tricky because on one hand, you'll hear, okay, if you have an internet addiction, stop the internet completely. Give yourself a challenge, no internet. And it can be a good stepping stone, but it doesn't get to the cause. The cause is what is making you jump online and need to go online in the first place. What's in there? Dive into that. It's not the thing, it's the place it's coming from. However, if you're someone who, is so hooked on the internet, that's like all you do, then you may want to, give yourself a challenge. And I think there's different apps you can get that limit your time online or that cut your the connection. I think you can get that where you set up the app and it'll just cut your Wi-Fi connection, and I think you enter like some password, but then it might change it. So even if you wanted to, you can access it. So you can try that as a stepping stone, but don't think that's the ultimate solution. You got to get to the cause. It's similar to, if you're a people pleaser, this won't always happen, but, it does tend to happen. You will usually go into different relationships where your partner will take advantage of that. And, if you're in that relationship, you may realize like, whoa, I'm a people pleaser and my partner's taking advantage of me. And the solution that you'll find online or anywhere is, hey, end that relationship. And depending on the relationship, yeah, in some instances you may want to fucking just quickly end it, but it doesn't necessarily get to the cause, because although you ended that relationship, what tells you you're not going to create a similar relationship with your next partner? So it's not the thing, whatever you decide to do, you have to get to the cause, which is why are you a people pleaser in the first place? Remember that whenever you're triggered, be fucking thankful. You want to be triggered. The goal is not to avoid being triggered. Being triggered is fucking awesome. And, technically whoever triggers you, you should be very thankful that they triggered you. I'm always happy when I'm triggered, because that's a sign of, ooh, there's something I need to dive into and release. Thank you. Thank you for, creating that opportunity for this to come to the surface, because it's so deep in my subconscious, I would not have even fucking known. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So don't avoid being triggered. How much of the traditional meditation do you do? Actually, that's a really good question. So as I discussed in the program, there's concentration-based meditation and mindfulness-based meditation. The releases is mindful, where you really dive into yourself. It's that contemplative process. However, there is another type of meditation, and that's where, you could say focus on the now. It's more like concentration, keeping your awareness somewhere for a long period of time. And that's a muscle that you build. It doesn't get to the cause, but it is a great skill to have, just in terms of today's world, where everything is so just flashy, and we're just kind of conditioned to get hooked on this instant gratification. There's so much external stimulus. We're turning into like these, extreme ADD creatures, where we can't even focus more than like a few seconds on one thing. Even if you look at a video or you're listening to this webinar, maybe right now you're watching this and you're fully present taking this in, or you're watching this but you have like 50 other tabs open. And I'll still occasionally catch myself do this even on YouTube. I'll watch a video, but there's that temptation where you open a few more tabs and you just kind of listen to it in the background, or you're on your phone at the same time. Like, we can't just do one thing. The movies that are coming out now. I was talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine. I saw there were like two movies I saw recently. Not very good movies, but there's two movies I saw recently. One was Moana, that new Disney movie. Everyone was saying it was like amazing, and I watched it and I was like, maybe it'll be like some cool, remind me of my childhood, like some really like intense, like amazing Disney movie. And it was just so bad. Now people love it, and you might have loved it, and you're like, fuck you for saying it's bad, but it was so bad. And there's not really that character build-up. It's pretty much flashy action scenes and just new characters being introduced every fucking second. It's pretty much designed as if the people who watch this are so ADD that we're just going to blast them with all this shit. That was probably, I'm assuming massively here, but it was probably the intention behind creating this movie. It's like, nowadays, people are so ADD, let's just blast them with shit. And you watch that movie and it's like, new character, new fighting scene, new boss, new bad guy, new character, new bad guy, new character, new bad guy. Just this linear flash, 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 flash. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck happened to the good old Disney movies? Or the other one I saw was Kong. And it was the same thing. There was no character build up, and it was just like, action scene, new bad guy, new action scene, kill off this person, kill off that person, kill off this person. And I'm like, okay, well, at the end, what the fuck happened? Like, nothing. It was just blasted with shit. So that's the world we live in. A good practice to add on, although it doesn't get to the cause of what we're talking about here, but it's something you may want to proactively just work on due to the environment that we're in, is being able to hold your focus somewhere for a longer period of time. For example, focus, bringing your awareness to the now. And I won't do this every day, but I'll do it every once in a while. Just sit down and like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, present to the moment. And what this really helps me with is, as I said, being able to focus on something for a long period of time. If I'm talking to you right now, delivering this content, a lot of that is my ability to just stay here. Stay here with you or with the screen camera and just ba-ba-bum, 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 ba-ba-bum. Like I can be in this state for, days. I do it. Like tomorrow I'm actually doing Transformation Mastery Live here in Berlin. And that's like a full day of just me, ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum. That comes from the concentration-based meditation. So, I'd recommend just doing it every once in a while, especially nowadays. It's extremely beneficial. Both accomplish different things, but why not, hit it from both angles, as I say. So on that note, let's get to, yes, the live release. So I want to make this one, as I said before, I know, damn you, Netflix. I want to make this one around social anxiety. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, this is something that most of us have, in terms of what's down there in our subconscious. A lot of that is unique to you, but there are some common ones. For guys, and I've talked about this a lot, a common one is the fear of letting a girl know that we like them. Because if you're growing up as a kid, and this is so common, if you like a girl, you will be shamed. Everyone will laugh at you. It's like, whoa, he likes her, and you're just shamed like crazy. And it's so traumatic because as a kid, the way you interpret it is, this is your world. You at school, that's your world. You don't think beyond the schoolyard. School is your fucking world. All your friends, that's your world. If they shame you, you fear just being completely just outcasted and abandoned and isolated and done. You have to fit into the schoolyard. So what happens there is extremely fucking traumatic. Whether it's you liking a girl and being mocked for it, if you're a girl and liking a guy being mocked for it, and also especially putting yourself out there, speaking up, stating your opinion. Again, that's social anxiety, because what if you state your opinion and not everyone agrees? There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of authority. You must fit in for the sake of survival based on your perspective as a kid in that schoolyard. So a lot of us have experienced extremely traumatic moments growing up at school, whether it's you being bullied, you being mocked, you having different teachers telling you to shut the fuck up and fit in, telling you that your answer is wrong, telling you that asking a question is stupid. Not just the teachers, but then again, the classmates. Your classmates telling you you're wrong. Your classmates telling you it's not important. Shut up, fit in, agree with what we like. So we all kind of go through this, and it's, again, we have those traumatic experiences we just kind of shove down, and they keep on running us. And this is huge nowadays, where consciously, putting yourself out there in different social environments, social situations is not going to kill you, yet there's that same trauma, that same, life or death survival instinct that kicks in. And this is something that I've seen over the years just teaching success with women. If I told someone, hey, go say hi to her, logically, consciously, rationally, nothing bad will happen. However, trauma kicks in. And I've seen people hang on to the wall in order to not, go and say hi to a girl. Like, one particular scenario, a girl looks at the client I was working with, waves at him. I'm like, hey, go say hi. And he hangs onto the wall, trembling, as if he's going to die. It's as if him doing that, it's like life or death. It's like full panic. And, that's the situation I'm talking to a girl. But we also have it where, say you're in a Starbucks and you have to speak up. What if people stare at you? That trauma kicks in. So social anxiety is huge. During the Transformation Mastery live events that I do, there's actually a portion of the event where I send you outside of the seminar room with different social anxiety challenges. And one that I'll give you right now on the webinar, which I recommend that you do, is go out in a populated area. Ideally somewhere where there's a lot of foot traffic, like a public place, like a crosswalk or something where there's a lot of people walking by. Go there alone. And here's the challenge, here's the mission. For 2 minutes alone, stand in one spot with people walking by you And for 2 minutes, yell out quite loud, if not extremely loud, some of the big lessons, takeaways, realizations, things you learned going through Transformation Mastery. For 2 minutes straight without a break. So it's you standing there, people walking by, a very populated place, and for 2 minutes, so what I learned about the subconscious, like extremely loud, and notice the sensations that arise when people stare at you, when people judge you, if you freeze, if you can't do it, if trauma kicks in. Proactively trigger yourself like that. And, you may think, oh, social anxiety. I don't have social anxiety. But do that and see what happens. And most people will not dare do that. Most people will do anything to avoid it. And, it's shocking. Like, linking it back to success with women, I've had clients who came on programs and, they'd come back from, not to get too dark here, but they'd come back from places like they're in the army and they came back from the war. They come back from places where they've seen things that would, I don't even know if I could or what would happen, like bullets flying by you, people, dying next to you, like horrible, horrendous things. They went through that and they came back and they did the program and they were more scared to go and talk to a girl where, not just one, but multiple wouldn't even show up on the next 2 or the last days of the program to avoid it. And those are people who were able to go through things that most of us wouldn't be able to, but that couldn't say hi to a girl due to that trauma in the past, that social anxiety that most of us go through, if not all of us go through during our upbringing. So, something to be aware of, and this is why I wanted to make the release around this, because it is a very general thing that we all have, and something that we all need to dive into. And you'll notice, instead of leaving your place and being a little paranoid, or a little bit like, whoa, I'm out in the real world now, oh my God, kind of like defensive, afraid to speak up. Like that was me even growing up. I couldn't even go and ask for the time. I couldn't even ask a stranger for the time. I couldn't, this just came up. I was so scared, even as a kid, like say I went to a restaurant with my family and, they'd bring you like, okay, still water. You drink the water and I was like, we're out of water. And I remember my parents joking like, oh, you're out of water. Just ask the waiter. Terrified. I could not ask the waiter or waitress for more water. So scared. Just things like that. So that's what I want us to dive into here. So we're going to do a quick live release. And the cool thing about this type of webinar format live release is that although we're not all in the same room together, same environment together, we are in a way digitally. So you're not in this alone. So when you dive into it, if it gets a little intense, just remind yourself, although it's intense, there are other people right now at the same time going through the same thing as you. Okay, so use the support of the virtual group here. Sit up with your back straight. Try to not hunch over too much. Just stay in a position that's comfortable, that keeps you alert. There's also a comment in the Facebook group about people's backs hurting after a period of time. If your back hurts, you can always add a pillow at the bottom of your back, at the base of your spine, just to kind of help support you, but don't just fully hunch over or lean back. That's my recommendation. So back straight, eyes closed. Place your hands on your lap, palms facing down, and let's bring our awareness into our bodies. Okay, close your eyes. Bring your awareness in your body. And just notice that little voice in your head right now, yapping about, thinking maybe, here I am on this online webinar. Is it kind of weird for me to be diving into my body, closing my eyes? Is this kind of weird? Is it going to work? Man, what if other people saw me right now? Just bring awareness to that little voice yapping about in between your ears, and slowly visualize it changing locations and slowly moving further and further down your spine, all the way to the base of your spine and just settling there. Okay, and then we're gonna lock in that position. You're now thinking from the base of your spine, operating from the base of your spine, connected to your body. Your ears are down there, your nose is down there, you're breathing from down there. You're out of your head and in your body. And we're going to start by really, grounding ourselves there by doing 3 cycles of pranic breathing, where I want you to inhale for the count of 6 through your nose, hold it for 3, exhale for 6, making a shh sound, and then holding it for 3 again. And you're going to do this from the base of your spine. So when you inhale, it's through the nose, but your awareness remains at the base of your spine. For the count of 6, you're going to hold for 3, exhale for 6, hold for 3, and we're going to do 3 cycles of this. So, from the base of your spine, inhale for the count of 6, starting now, through your nose, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold for 3, 2, 3, exhale for 6, shh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold for 3, 2, 3, breathe normally. Let things settle a bit. Notice that voice may be getting a little quieter, getting a little bit more in touch with what's going on inside. It might be a little lighter in your head. It might not be. Don't judge yourself. All we're doing is just bringing our awareness into our bodies. Let's get ready for another cycle. From the base of your spine, inhale through your nose for the count of 6, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally. We're going to do one more cycle. Getting out of our heads, getting into our bodies. Get ready to inhale again for the count of 6 through your nose, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally. Let things settle. Out of our heads, in our bodies. And we're going to move to bringing our awareness now to the different sensations that arise when you think of social anxiety. Just listen to my voice and just keep being aware of what comes up when I say social anxiety. Talking to strangers. Standing out. Being loud and having people stare at you. People judge you. People get angry at you. People talking about you. Pointing at you. Looking at you. When you hear being exposed, vulnerable, people seeing through you. In a situation where you feel trapped, but there's no way out. Not feeling safe. What if you fail? What if you make a fool of yourself? What if you say or do something wrong? What if you make a mistake? What if people laugh at you? What will they think of you? And let's really dive into this and ask, what comes up when you think of your childhood, at school, some of those really embarrassing moments, some of those moments where you were shamed, either by your friends, or by your teacher, or by your parents, or by strangers. Those moments where you just really stood out, felt embarrassed, uncomfortable, felt wrong, like you didn't fit in. When you felt that pressure of people just judging you and talking about you and disliking you and disapproving you. Just keep noticing the sensations that come up and keep breathing through them. Start being aware of them. When you think of going out in public right now and talking to a stranger, when you think of the challenge that I gave you of going out and for 2 minutes out loud talking about your big lessons or takeaways from this program, imagine you're there doing it now and everyone stops and just starts staring. Imagine someone even taking out their phone and filming it. Imagine that video went viral and everyone started talking about it. Everyone started commenting on it, talking about you, judging you, assuming different things about you. When you walk down the street, more and more people are staring at you, pointing at you. That's that person. What sensations come up? Keep breathing into it and really allow yourself to experience it fully. Whatever comes up, have no expectations. Whatever comes up, just keep breathing into it. We're going to spend a little while here just being with ourselves, with these sensations associated to social anxiety. What comes up when you think of singing in front of a crowd, or stating your opinion that people may not agree with? An opinion that is different than most people's opinion. What comes up? Just keep breathing into it. Whatever sensations come up, whether it's tension, tightness, discomfort, any upsets, anything that's stirred up, keep breathing into it. Allow those sensations to take over. We're going to do 3 more cycles of pranic breathing, but this time what I want you to do is with every inhale through your nose for the count of 6, I want you to let those sensations take over even more. Take over your entire body. Move all the way up. We're going to hold it for 3, and with each exhale I want you to visualize those sensations running their course. running their course, and letting go of them. Just letting them go. They want to leave. Okay, so whatever sensations came up associated to social anxiety, tune into them, and let's experience them fully, and let's let them take over, inhaling for the count of 6 starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Shh. Let go of them. Let them run their course. Let them out. 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally again. Now, there's probably more down there. That's fine. Tune into what's there. If any new sensations come up, tune into those as well. And let's breathe into them for the count of 6, starting now with a second cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally. We're going to do one more cycle here. Whatever's left, whatever sensations are there, embrace them, let them take over, bring your awareness to them, tune into them. And let's do one last cycle, bringing them up and letting them go. Starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Let it go. Let it all go. Let it out. Let them run their course. 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally. Let things settle. And let's just stay here for a few moments in our bodies. There might be more down there, and that's fine. And just be there, feeling a little lighter, feeling a little bit of relief, having accepted and re-owned a little more of who you are. Let's just hang out in our bodies a little longer. Okay. Now let's do one last cycle of pranic breathing. This time, however, simply inhale from the base of your spine and exhale for 6, breathing from the base of your spine. Really grounding ourselves back into our bodies. Inhale for the count of 6, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Breathe normally. Okay, we're going to slowly get ready to come back now. Start bringing your awareness back to your surroundings. Keep your eyes closed. Simply be aware of your surroundings, where you are right now. Listening to my voice on this webinar. Bring awareness to your feet, your legs, all the way up to your stomach, your chest, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your neck, your face, the back of your head, the top of your head. Bring all your awareness back to the present moment, back to right now. Start moving your feet a little bit, stop moving your hands a little bit. Shake your body out a little bit and get ready to open your eyes on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And come back to the present moment. Take a few more deep breaths. Shake it out. And no rush. And there we go. And once again, we didn't do anything magical or supernatural. We simply brought our awareness to some things that we haven't brought our awareness to in a while. And instead of escaping it, or trying to make sense of it, or trying to fix it, we stayed with it. And we accepted it. Okay. And again, the goal here isn't, like, this is again a process. Don't expect everything to be gone and never have anxiety again. This is something you want to keep diving into. There's probably a lot of stuff down there, but we re-owned a little bit of it. We re-own some of it right now. Okay? So, shake it out a bit. Even after this webinar, recommend even jumping up and down a little bit, bringing that aliveness back in your body or back in the real world here. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. As I mentioned, I'm going to post the replay in the members area. Expect it to be up in the next couple days as well. Keep being active in the Facebook group. I love reading about your experiences. I try to comment when I can, but don't freak out if I don't, because I do scroll through there and read it all. And honestly, the vibe we got going, the energy we have going in there is absolutely amazing. And I mean, yeah, seeing so many people respond to this program and experience so much, change is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more happy with this, So thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for supporting Transformation Mastery by getting a copy of it. And yeah, let's keep diving deep on this. And who knows where we'll be at in a year, 2 years, 3 years. But we're on to something fucking big.